Hi, my name's Mark. I'm one of the pastors here at Trillium. I remember years ago watching a movie I don't even remember what it was really about, but part of the movie had this soldier getting separated from his unit and he didn't know where he was. So he climbed up a very high hill to the top so he could kind of reorientate himself, get a sense of perspective, get a commanding view so that he knew where he was, maybe even spot out his unit. When he got to this really high hill, he looks down into the valley where he came from and he can see his unit marching up the valley. But he can also see the enemy waiting in ambush for his compatriots. He can see the unfolding catastrophe from his new point of view, from his commanding view, from his vantage point. And of course, he tries to do everything possible to warn his compatriots about what they're walking into, the trap they're walking into. And there's that wonderful word vantage. We get the word advantage from, but vantage literally means a position, a condition, or place affording a commanding view. I have a 7-year-old daughter. I am 2 feet taller than her, so that when we go through the mall parking lot, I can see things much better than she can. I can see unfolding events. I can see potential risks and dangers to her that she can't see. And so that gives me a different vantage point. It gives me more of a commanding view than she has of the parking lot. It makes it safer for her. There are many ways to get a commanding view in life. We can sometimes actually go to the higher ground. The New Testament talks about this new vantage point always with the language of above, being above something. But it's a metaphor too, because you can have a commanding view, not just from the height that you are or where you journey, what hill you journey up to, but you can have a commanding view from your age. Sometimes there's incredible maturity and richness of perspective that comes from aging. I remember going to this 97-year-old woman for some advice. I was going through a real tough circumstance, and she gave me this incredible advice, and I remember looking at her going, wow, what a commanding view you have from 97 years of life. All the dis-ease and worry and drama, man, you know what's going on here. And she did. She gave me this great advice. And it was based on her commanding view from her age. You can have commanding view based on your training or your experience. There's so many ways of getting commanding view in life, that vantage point. The spiritual journey is, in its simplest expression, a willingness to entertain the possibility of seeing things differently. It's the willingness to entertain the possibility of seeing things differently. Events unfold in your life. You find yourself in sometimes difficult, maybe even in good circumstances. You're trying to understand the meaning of it all, and you're invited often in those places to see things from a different vantage point. As Christians, we are called to journey with Christ to see from above. The Bible says there are basically 2 vantage points to look at life from: above and below, spirit, flesh. And we are called by Jesus to follow him and see life from the vantage point of above. You see, the cross itself, from the vantage point of below, from the worldly way of seeing it, is a tool of violence, destruction, and death. But from the vantage point of above, it now becomes a symbol of love and reconciliation and forgiveness. It's amazing how anything in life can seem different, even if it's the same thing, simply from the vantage point we see it from. Sometimes we learn this by looking backwards on our lives and seeing blessing where we initially saw a curse. But wouldn't it be great in the moment of life sometimes to be able to step above where we are and see what's happening from the vantage point of spirit or above? See, the biblical perspective is that we are spiritual beings having human experiences, and that if you want to know what's really happening in that world of below where we practically live, then you need to see it from above. Because if you see it from the weeds of below, you will misunderstand and misinterpret what's really happening in your life. I remember, this actually was recently, I wasn't really remembering that much. I had a bit of a catastrophe this week. And I got some really great advice in the moment of how to deal with it. And it elevated me to see it from above, not from below, and it made all the difference. And I saw the incredible blessing in that moment. and was able to embrace it. I'm so thankful for that. Paul talks about this in Colossians, about that we have been raised with Christ. We've died with Christ in chapter 2 and chapter 3. We've been raised with Christ, and now we are to seek the things above, where Christ is seated and where Christ lives with God. And that means that we are, in a sense, to elevate our mind and our thought to the ways from above, to see everything unfolding from above rather than from below. I mean, so often we get caught up in the drama of below, and we get caught up in the world of below and the anger and the wrath, the malice, the slander, the abusive language, the venting, the frustration, as I say, the drama of it all. And we lose perspective. We're caught up in the weeds of life. But as followers of Christ, we're to elevate our hearts and minds into the world of above, to clothe ourselves with compassion and kindness, to seek the vantage that offers us humility and meekness and patience in life, to get that commanding view that sees the totality of what's unfolding. And that is possible for us. We can move to that higher place of viewing so that we may make sense of the world that we live in. Remember, we are in the world, we live in the world of below, but we're not of the world. That is, we're not to understand the world of below from the bottom up, but from the top down. We have this great opportunity this day to embrace life in a new way, to seek the vantage from above, to follow the path of love and peace and joy. You can do it. I know you can. I can do it. Even in the hard places, especially the hard places, these are the great invitations for us to elevate our hearts and minds into the heavenly ways of seeing. And when we do that, the joy of God and the love of God will move through every part of our being, and we will extend heaven into this world, one moment, one point of view, one perspective at a time. Go in peace.